That was hilarious. Whitney, can you pass that Bible? In the page. No, I don't know. I read that.
Okay. Floor is open for anybody in house, anybody on the line yet. So.
I had a question. Yeah, pictures.
All right, we got any questions in house? Man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the stuff I've been talking about right there. All right, that should be good.
iPhone.
It's that car.
My brother Chris, could you go through and Deuteronomy 33, the curse and the blessing that Moses blessed the tribe with?
Oh, okay.
I don't really have trouble with understanding.
Got you. Is that when they was walking through? Let's go there. And they had half the people standing on one side. Or
Deuteronomy 33.
okay. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like he's giving each tribe their blessing. I'm having trouble understanding like what exactly blessing.
All right. Let's start. Let's start at 1 and we'll swing around. See. This understanding. Deuteronomy 33, verse 1.
And this is the blessing, wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from the Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them.
Okay, so now we know, this hasn't happened yet, this part right here. In fact, hold your place here and go over to the book of Jude. It's right before Revelation. It's one chapter. But what we just read about the Lord coming with 10,000s of saints on his right hand. Let's see. So we're going to go to Jude, one chapter. And let's see. I guess pick it up at verse 14.
And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints. To execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against them.
Okay, so we see Enoch, who was all the way back, they say this seventh from Adam, even had prophesied the same thing we read here in Deuteronomy about how the Lord is going to come with 10,000s of saints. But let's go back to Deuteronomy and pick it up at verse 3.
Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Everyone shall receive of thy words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together.
All right, so it said Moses was king in Jeshurun. That's that name we came across earlier, but another word for Israel. Go ahead.
Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him for his enemies.
All right, so again, we're just going to read through them and see. So Reuben is pretty straightforward at verse 6. He said, Let Reuben live and not die. Let not his men be few. So he prayed that, Reuben multiply and that he wouldn't die off. It says at verse 7, this is the blessing of Judah. And he said here, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou in hand and help to him from his enemies. So, this sounds pretty straightforward also. So it say, let his hands be sufficient for him. I don't know whether that's to work or to war, but we see that's what he's talking about in the next line, be thou in help to him from his enemies. So I'm not sure what it means, bring him unto his people, if it's talking about gathering him at the end or not, because we do know, hold your place here. Yeah, it actually has a reference for where I was about to go anyway. Let's go over to Genesis 49. Genesis, hold your place here, chapter 49. So yeah, this is then most likely referring to his hands being sufficient for him in war, because we're going to see what Jacob said when he was called all of his children to him here. Genesis 49, and pick it up at verse 8, because we just read that it said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah. So for one, he said, Hear his voice, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou in help to him from his enemies. So we know when we go over here to Genesis 49, it's kind of doing the same thing here. He's dealing with all of his children, and he tells them what's going to happen to them in the last days. So it ain't referring to them per se. Really, some of the stuff in here is dealing with, as we're going to see when we get to Judah here, this one is dealing with Jesus here. Genesis 49 and 8. Actually, pick it up at verse 1.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I might tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of my dignity.
Okay, so he kind of followed the same order, it seemed like. Let's skip down to verse 8.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Okay, so he said unto Judah. Now remember, we just went back to Genesis 49. Jacob calls his children to him, and he says he's going to tell them what's going to happen to them or befall them in the last days. And when we get to Judah, he talks about how his hand is going to be in the neck of his enemies. What else? Where'd you stop at?
I read it again.
Okay.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Okay. So now we're going to see, though, that this Judah is not dealing with just Jacob's son Judah per se. Keep reading.
Judah is a lion's whelp.
So now we know, go ahead. I'll let you read it.
From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Okay, so now it calls Judah a lion's whelp, or the offspring of a lion. And then it really goes right into dealing with things that pertain to Jesus. So, we could read about Jesus being called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. We could read that in Revelation. But keep reading, verse 10.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes.
So again, now we see, they say the scepter, which is what the rulers carry. It's like a staff that kings carry, shall not depart from Judah. And initially, Judah was set up as, or actually this place Shiloh was set up as the headquarters. But all of this is really, we're going to find out this is talking about Jesus. So we'll go back to the other one after we read this and see, is it that same type of trend. But he said, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. So we know who came and gave the law.
Christ.
Christ, right? We could read in actually hold your place here. I wasn't trying to go to too many places, being that we want to get back to Deuteronomy. But let's go to Isaiah 33. Yep. Isaiah chapter 33 and 1 verse 22. Because we just read that a lawgiver shall not depart from between Judah's feet. Isaiah. So we're going to look at who the lawgiver is so we can get an idea who this is talking about in Genesis 49, because all of this is supposed to pertain to Judah, but we know that Christ came through Judah, came through the tribe of Judah. Go ahead, verse 22.
For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. He will save us.
All right, so it puts all four of these titles in the same script. And we know the Lord is going to be Jesus, even the one that judged. You could read about that in John 5 and 22. He said the Father committed all judgment unto the Son. We know that set up over Christ's head when he was being crucified was the accusation they accused him of. And it said his name, Jesus, the King of the Jews, had it in 3 different languages. So we know he gonna be king. When Pilate asked him, "Are you a king?" He even told him, "To this end was I born." So it says, "And he will save us." So all of those things in that Isaiah verse pertain unto Christ, and it's the same lawgiver that we read about over in Genesis 49. So back to Genesis. So he said, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. All right, what about this Shiloh?
And unto him shall the gathering of all of the people be.
And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So hold your place here. Let's go to Matthew 23, I believe. Matthew 23, and pick it up at verse 37. Matthew chapter 23 and 37. It's going to sound like they all there. Go ahead.
O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together?
So he said, how often would I have gathered thy children together? Remember, we just read about this Shiloh. It said, unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So go ahead.
Even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not.
All right, back to Genesis 49. So we just seeing that all this stuff, and Jacob called his 12 sons to him. He said he's going to tell them that which is going to befall them in the latter days. But then he start telling them stuff when he get to Judah. This pertains directly to Jesus. Verse 11.
Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice wine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes.
All right, so this is all stuff that Christ did. Again, when he sent his disciples into the city, we'll read it real quick, and then we'll get back to it. Deuteronomy. Hold your place here. Let's go to Matthew chapter 21. Matthew chapter 21. Well, we can see how things might not have to pertain directly to the individual. It's the same thing that Jacob did with all his children. And he said this is going before them in the latter days. They ain't alive right now. So really this stuff wasn't for them, it was for our time. But Matthew 21. And I think we want verse 1. Yeah. Go ahead.
And when they drew nigh unto Jerusalem, and were come to Bethphage, unto the Mount of Olives, they sent Jesus 2 disciples, saying unto them, Go into the village over against you, and straightway ye shall find an ass tied, and a coat with her. Loose them and bring them unto you. And if any man say aught unto you, ye shall say, The Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them.
Okay, so now we'll go back to this is all stuff we read at verse 11, Genesis 49. It said, binding his foal, which is the offspring of a donkey or a colt or a horse or whatever. It said, binding his foal unto the vine and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. So when Christ was coming into the city, he sent his disciples. They went and found an ass and a colt tied up, which is exactly how the Messiah was supposed to enter into the city. Zechariah elaborated on it a little bit further, but we see all of this started back here with Jacob telling his son what was going before them. Back to Genesis 49. And it said he washed his garments in wine, his clothes in the blood of grapes. All this stuff is pertaining to Christ. When he returned, it says it's going to look like he had a garment dipped in blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this blood of grapes is. So now back to the Deuteronomy 33, because we see how it don't necessarily have to apply to the individual. Deuteronomy 33, and what verse did you stop reading?
Starting at 8.
So he said, let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou in help to him from his enemies. Go ahead.
And of Levi, he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be thy holy one, whom thou didst prove at Massa, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah.
Okay, so he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy holy one. So this is like a priest that had the ability, let's say like authority, if you will, to do certain things. We'll look at an example, because we know Levi is the priest tribe. So, he basically saying to let Levi's priest be with, it says, with thy holy one. But let me show you what I mean, because let me try this search real quick. All right, let's all right, so let's go to Exodus 28 verse. Exodus 28. Hold your spot here and do it around. Exodus. Chapter 28. And, pick it up at like, looks like 29. That's this page. Exodus 28 and 29.
And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod of all blue.
So, yeah, that's the one I was looking for, but it's I think it's let's just read it in Ezra. I thought it was like a priest with authority, but it must be just the spirit of the Lord. Because we're gonna see that only a priest with Urim was able to do what we're about to read. Because Israel, again, we dealing with the tribe of Levi. They the priest tribe, so they deal with all the sacrifices and the things pertaining to the tabernacle. But out of Levi, and they had a registration where, a genealogy where people kept records, because if they, you wanted to be a Levite, you had to check the registry and make sure your name was in there. This genealogy, make sure you was in the tribe of Levi. So we're going to read about something like that in Ezra chapter 2. And pick it up around verse 60. Ezra 2. Actually 59. Nah, 60 is good. All right, 60.
The children of Delilah, the children of Tobiah, the children of Nekoda, 652.
I'm sorry, start at 59.
And these were they which went up from Tel-Melah, Tel-Harsha, Shirah, Adan, and Immer. But they could not show their father's house and their seed, whether they were of Israel.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. And they knew who their parents were. They knew their parents was priests, but they were supposed to have their names in this registry. So it said they could not show their father's house and their seed, whether they were of Israel. Go ahead, skip to 61.
And the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Kaz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by the genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore were they, as polluted, put from the priesthood.
All right, so these brothers knew who their parents were, but when they sought their names in this record book, if you will, the registry, it wasn't there, so they put them from the priesthood. And what else?
And the Tarshitha said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and with Thummim.
Okay, so this is the name Tirshatha that I was thinking of, and it says in my Bible app that it's governor, but so the governor said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and Thummim. So this is somebody that was able to had like the Holy Spirit was able to Yeah, pretty much. Allow them, tell them if they can eat of the holy things or not. So that's all that he seemed to be asking them in Exodus, in Deuteronomy. He said to let the Urim and the Thummim be with the Lord. So we'll go back to Deuteronomy 33 and reread verse 8 again. So again, now this is what pertains to Levi. We know he the priest tribe. Go ahead.
And of Levi he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy holy ones, whom thou didst prove at Massa, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah.
All right, go ahead.
Who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and hold burnt sacrifice upon thy altar.
All right, so we see he just praying that Levi, that he stay with the Lord, that the Lord is with him, that he, teach the judgments to the rest of his brothers, and that, they serve, like I said, they put incense before thee, and they, burn these sacrifices before the Lord. Go ahead, verse 11.
Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the lions of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again.
All right, so it's pretty straightforward. He just, praying that the Lord bless Levi and kind of curse his enemies. Go ahead.
And of Benjamin he said, the beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders. And of Joseph he said, blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that coucheth beneath.
All right, so I don't know what all of these are referring to, why he said about Benjamin, he shall dwell between thy shoulders. I'm not sure.
Isn't that between Levi and Judah?
I don't know. I have no idea. Does he refer to them like as shoulder somewhere?
No, because Benjamin has always been between those two tribes. Like,
okay. Yeah, you might be teaching me something today. But
I don't know, so don't take my word for
it. Nah, I'm gonna ask regardless now because I don't know the answer. But yeah, I don't know about Benjamin. But Joseph, he said, blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that couches beneath. So we know that Joseph, he had obviously given us a double portion to his sons. So he's just asking that their land be blessed. And he's talking about the deep that couches beneath, which just sound like he's referring to the water in his land. But go ahead, keep reading, 14.
And for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains.
All right, so he's just praying for literal, produce, good produce, and that the land to be blessed at Benjamin, because we know that the Lord done given them all lots of land. And that, he done promised land even since, recruiting Abraham. He had promised them a certain amount of land that he never received yet. So he said, blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that couches beneath, for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon. Go ahead.
And for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush. Let the blessings come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorn. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000 of Ephraim, and they are the 1,000 of Manasseh.
Okay, so it speaks of both his sons that we know received a portion of the inheritance. This was Joseph's double portion. So I mean, it ain't a lot of it is just seem to be straightforward. He actually asking the Lord to bless certain things, whether it's their land or whether it's Levi and how he handles the Lord's business with the sacrifices and the incense. But what verse you in that? 17? Go ahead, 18.
And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall suck of the abundance of the seed, and of treasures hid in the sand. And of Gad he said, Blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part of himself, because there, in a portion of the lawgiver, was he seated. And he came with the heads of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgments with Israel.
Yeah, I'm not sure how all of these apply. We could finish reading through them, and anything that stands out, we'll go and read wherever it is at.
Me too.
Go ahead.
And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessings of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south.
Okay, so he giving Naphtali his land of possession, where he going to possess these lands. We read here about Dan, what we read about Judah over in Deuteronomy 49. But go ahead, 24.
And of Asher he said, Let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Thy shoes shall be iron and brass, and as thy days so shall thy strength be. There is none like unto God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them.
All right, so a lot of this stuff, seem to be is literally what he asking for, what he's blessing them with. But as far as why he's saying certain things to certain sons, I don't know.
Like how you say Asher, let him dip his foot in oil.
Yeah.
What Gad is saying, tear the arm with the crown of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Because I heard all different types of. Some people saying that Gad, that's the Zulus down in South Africa, because they wear the crown. They used to wear a big crown with these horns.
Okay.
On it, that, I guess, tears the arm or something like that. So they're saying that could be Gad, but I don't know. That sounds kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Lord, when it comes to prophecy, he so like ironclad with it that I just printed out some papers of Deuteronomy 28 where he talk about the yoke of iron being placed upon Israel until they be destroyed. And I mean, literally, you type in iron yoke, that's what they made. Everything in that chapter is so specific to us as a people. It's no room to really, I'm not sure. He told us everything. So I mean, the fact that some people got horns down there, I don't know.
And then with the fake 12 tribes chart they use.
Yeah,
Genesis 49, they got it all twisted.
Yeah.
So that's all I was trying to.
Yeah, I'll definitely ask.
Yeah, Isaiah 11, right? Chapter 11 in Acts 2. day of Pentecost. All these people from different nations. You know what I'm saying?
as
You
far
can't
as-
prove that 12 tribe chart.
You
as
said
far
they
as-
approved it?
I mean, no, you can't prove.
No, not at all.
There's no way to prove.
Nah, I mean, and nobody else, they don't fit the other, curses.
Exactly.
They just chose everybody with
Everybody.
some pigment in their skin and
Mhm.
say, here,
Oh.
pick a tribe.
Ephraim, Puerto Rico.
Yeah. But I don't know. Let's finish reading here. See if anything else stands out.
Yeah, Judah is supposed to be an African American one.
26.
Where
Where were you?
Just that 27.
Oh,
You said
okay.
destroy them.
Right. Yeah.
Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine. Also, his heaven shall drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Israel. Who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord? The shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency? And thy enemies shall be found lies unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places.
Yeah. So I had to, seek some more understanding on that. But a lot of it is just straightforward what he's asking for. It might be worded kind of, I don't know, poetically or whatever, but he's literally asking the Lord to bless certain sons' land, allow them to dwell in safety, corn and wine. A lot of it is straightforward, but I don't know, like you said, the crown and why he's talked about Asher dipping his foot in oil. I don't know if it was the oil in his land or what that's about, but I'll ask also about it. What else y'all got?
Thank you.
Sure.
So it's kind of like two questions. So, does the word say anything? Can a new nation be made, or can a new nation be brought, like exist, like come out? Because I was thinking about Noah, right? We got Noah and 3 sons, Ham, Shem, Japheth, but then the Lord spoke to Moses and he said, when we came out of Egypt, he was like, move away, I'm going to start over with you. And I'll make you a great nation. So him saying that, there were other nations before that, there were other, civilizations that was already brought out. So we fast forward during that time. Does the scripture say anything like there's no more nations no more? Like, I don't know. I never read that. Like,
Nah, not at all. Because the Lord created the nations, and when we'll go back out of Genesis 10 and start there at what they call the table of nations. But the Lord will create nations even out of one woman, right? We see Rebecca, how the Lord, told her that 2 nations are in thy belly, 2 manner of people. Gonna come forth from you. So that was a same father. They were twins actually, but the Lord made them 2 different nations. So like he told, the promise was, maybe we should start a little bit. We'll start at 10, just kind of skim through it, and then we'll skip to like 14 Genesis. So Genesis chapter 10, and we're just gonna take a look at Noah's sons real quick. Verse 1.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
All right, so these all come out of Japheth, and it's going to go on to name some of his sons. But skip down to verse 5.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families in their nations.
All right, so now notice what it said. By these, what? All these names that we just read, they come out of Japheth, were the isles or islands of the Gentiles divided in their lands. Everyone after his tongue, so that's after their language, after their families, and it says in their nations. All right, but go ahead, keep reading 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Sabika, and the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be mighty. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
So now all of these people that that being named here, they pretty much country, nations. The sons of Ham, because these ones are well known. Cush too.
And then
I got questions for y'all too. Here we go. Pop quiz.
Ethiopian.
Cush, Ethiopia. Who else? Mizraim, Egypt. So these are all nations, but who do they come out of? And one person. Foot is Libya and Canaan. We know the land that was promised to Abraham, the land of Canaan. They were some of the people dwelling there. Skip down to verse 10. So we read about this Nimrod, and that's like the start of paganism, if you will. Skip down to verse 10.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nivea in the city of Rehoboth.
Okay, what verse was that? That was
11.
Okay. All right, so again, this is Babel. This became Babylon much later. Iraq, this is modern day Iraq. So these are nations that we can still kind of see where they at on the map, what these people look like, but we see they all came out of one person. So the Lord can create nations just out of like I said, from the same father, same mother. And we're gonna look at what he told Abram. I think we Genesis
17.
Genesis 15. Let's start there. 15 and pick it up at verse 1.
After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus.
All right, so now, hey, God promised Abraham, he says his shield and exceeding great reward. So he asked, what is he going to give him? Because he doesn't have any children, and I guess the person set to inherit his house is this isn't a relative of his, this Eleazar of Damascus. Go ahead, skip down to verse 5 and read.
And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
Okay, so the Lord lets him know he's going to bring plenty of children out of Abram. Let's go over to chapter 17 and pick it up at verse 1.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
So now he's 99, and the Lord, already told him, I think he was 75, where we read in chapter 15, that he was going to bring, give him a bunch of children. So now he's 99, the Lord appeared before him, tell him, walk before me and be thou perfect, right? Go ahead.
And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee.
So he said, my covenant is with thee, and what?
And thou shalt be a father of many nations.
So he told Abram, you're going to be a father of many nations. Go ahead.
Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. and I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee.
Who's gonna make nations of them?
Uh,
Yeah, the Lord is
Lord.
gonna do this, right? Because obviously the man 99 already with no kids, so you know this the Lord. Now he said many nations, so he said he gonna do this. I will make nations of thee, and what else?
And kings shall come out of thee.
Uh-huh.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generation for an everlasting covenant to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee.
All right, let's just finish up with 8:2. Move on.
8.
Yeah, verse 8.
And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
Okay, so he promised them all of this land, and Abram never received this land yet. This promise was future, but now we're going to look, because he said he was going to bring many nations out of him. So he had to start that, obviously, while he was living. Let's go over to chapter 25, Genesis chapter 25. And pick it up at verse 1. Genesis chapter 25. Man, but it sounds like everybody's there. Pick it up at verse 1.
Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bare him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim and Letushim and Luam.
Okay, let's skip down to verse 5. So Abraham now had all these children. Go ahead, verse 5.
And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 160 years.
Skip to verse 9.
And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah.
Skip down to verse 12.
Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham.
Okay, so we know first when God had appeared to Abram and told him he was going to have a son with his wife Sarah, we know she jumped the gun and gave her handmaid to Abram, and he laid with her and had Ishmael. So that was his firstborn son. We know that Ishmael. So again, he come out of the same father, but we know he's pretty much the progenitor, the father of the Arabs, Ishmael. So that's one nation. But again, they both come out of Abraham. So what verse did you end at?
Start 13.
All right. Go ahead.
And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adabel, and Mibsam,
Okay.
and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa.
All right, that's good. Hold your place here. I'm sorry, I meant to read something over in 17. Hold your place here. And let's go back to Genesis chapter 17. So we see that all these children, all these names, Brother Keith did so well with come out of Abraham. And
sweating, boy.
yeah. Go up another 3 degrees for every other day.
Yeah, man.
So back at Genesis 17, and let's pick it up at 17, verse 17.
Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
Okay, so now in the Bible, mind you, it's Abraham asking God to allow the covenant to go through the Arabs, basically. It's, he said, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee, because God telling him how he's still going to bear this son Isaac with his wife Sarah. Go ahead.
And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed.
See, that was always the plan anyway, was he was going to bear Isaac through his wife. But like I said, they just kind of jumped the gun, and this is where all the Arab nations come from. But go ahead.
And thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
Okay, so the Bible ain't in no way like biased, against like the Arabs or anything like that. Like Abraham clearly was like, I already got Ishmael. God, why don't you let him live before thee? But that wasn't God's plan, right? He told him, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So this covenant gonna be with, this nation also. It comes out of Isaac. Go ahead.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
And God said, I will make him a great nation. All right, back to Genesis 25. So we see this the Lord working through Abram, and you made a good point with Moses. So, and we're gonna get there. But Genesis 25 and pick it up at verse 19.
And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
Okay, so we know that obviously he must have learned from what happened with his father, because it was originally supposed to him and his wife have Isaac, but again he laid with Hagar. So when Sarah was barren, so now Isaac, he like, hey, I'm gonna seek the Lord. And it said Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. So now this Abraham's grandchildren. Go ahead.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
Again, because they had prayed to the Lord, and it was from him. So she like, if it's from God, why it hurts so much, basically. Go ahead.
And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
Read again.
2 nations are in thy womb.
So again, straight laced, same parents, but the Lord made them 2 different nations. 2 nations are in thy womb, and what?
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Okay, so again, the Lord, he the one that's been behind the scenes doing all this. Now, when we get to Moses, say again. What is that? Let's read it. Reread the last
23.
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Yeah, it would seem like that's Esau, because just because he was a hunter. But it say the one people shall be stronger than the other people. Yeah, it don't say, but we know Esau was definitely strongest person out of them two.
I think it was like he said he took us because we weren't the strongest. I think it was in Exodus or Deuteronomy. He said that he took us to be a nation because we weren't the strongest.
Well, nah, he said y'all weren't the most in number.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Esau's blessing was he enjoyed the fatness of the earth. You know?
yeah, that's part of it. You gonna have that? What y'all call it these days? I got so many names for it. You gonna have money.
You gonna be
You
lit.
gonna be wealthy. You gonna have that bag. Is that bag? Is that still relevant?
Yeah, don't worry. We'll make sure I
Negative. All right, so 2 nations come out of the same person right here. Now let's go over to Moses, where God was going to destroy Israel. Let's go to Exodus 33. Let's try 33. It might be 23.
Where are we going?
Exodus, I'm not sure if it's 23 or 30 something. Yeah. Yeah, that might be it. It's looking for where the Lord was ready to destroy everybody. Yeah, it's
After
32.
they have the
It's
calf.
32. Yeah. It's 32. Let's try 32. Exodus chapter 32. Yeah. Yeah, this looks like it. And let's pick it up around verse 21. Oh, hold on. Okay, yeah, that's good. All right, go ahead.
And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said unto them, whosoever have any gold, let him break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf.
Yeah, right.
And
By itself.
Calf just came out by itself.
And when Moses saw that the
That
people
was
were
funny,
naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother.
Okay. So I'm sorry I keep doing this, but we're gonna have to back up a little bit to let's try 7, verse 7. Because now Moses, we're gonna go back to when he up in the mountain getting the commandments. That's when we gotta pick it up as soon as he get word from God that they down there making the calf. So pick it up at verse 7 and go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves.
So you see right off the bat, God done disinherited this people because he was calling them my people prior to this. Now he like this people that you brought down here, Moses. So keep in mind, because again, as many as are led by the Spirit, they the sons of God. As soon as they get off course, he like, hey, that's your people. But go ahead, what verse? All right.
They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation.
Okay, so he said he gonna make of thee, meaning Moses, a great nation. So why did he say he gonna make a great nation of Moses? Let's go back to Exodus 3. Exodus chapter 3. Exodus 2 and 1. And it sound like they there. Go ahead.
And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink.
So who are we reading about right here?
Moses.
Okay, so what tribe was Moses from?
Tribe of Levi.
All right, and now we read where God told Abraham, and we know we read about a bunch of his other children, right? We read about all them names, and you did good with them, for real. You know, I hated that. But I wanted to get some names out there, so we see that he had many nations indeed did come out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But the promise we see was through Isaac and his children. We seen him. We didn't look at it, but we know he passed the same covenant down, said the same thing to Abraham that he said to Isaac, that he said to Jacob, and passed on to his children. So if he got to the point where he was ready to kill all of Israel, he had to still perform the promise that he made to Abraham. So he would have had to make Moses, he had to keep one alive. He would have had to make nations out of Moses. He already was good on the other part of the promise, the other nations, because he said, I'm going to make you a father of many nations. We read a ton of names before we even got to Isaac, all right, by the other wives. But as far as, the covenant that he made with Isaac, that, he would have had to keep Moses alive, and he could have wiped Israel out and just made another nation starting with Moses. But again, we see the Lord, he can create nations just, on the fly. Same parents. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say just like what is it, 2 Kings 17, when they had to bring a priest to go to teach the Gentiles that was in the land.
Yeah, the lion.
Is it kind of something like that? You can make a nation on him because Moses is already a priest. He's already gave the law to Moses.
Nah, I mean this is nationality.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you mean with the lions.
No. In that same chapter, when they took out the northern kingdom,
Okay.
to the Assyrian captivity, and they put in, I forgot where they came from.
That was in Kings.
Yeah, 2 Kings 17.
Okay. Yeah, we could read it. Does that answer your question?
So does that mean nation, like no more nations will be? Because I just never read that. So I used to think all the nations were already came out of Genesis. But then after reading what Moses says, like, yo, come Moses, I'm going to make you a nation. There were all the other nations, as we read, all the nations that had came out and like were out and about. So they were already established. So now I want to know if like at any point in the Bible it said, because after all the nations went, even the Lord was still ready to start a new nation.
Yeah.
So I know the scripture doesn't say now, like, you know what I mean? Like anything about a new nation, but it says, a fierce nation from another race. So now I was just thinking in my head, like, I don't know, because let's say I have kids, I have children.
I knew you wanted a nation, man. Like, wait, you about to say you want
Nah,
a nation?
because that's why the question really stems from. You see how all of this was a result of, like, we see that he blessed his children, and he says, you're gonna have this, this one, you're gonna enjoy the fatness of the earth. So me and the truth right now, does the Lord hear stuff like that? Like, can I bless someone else? Like,
like,
I know, but do I know the person got blessed? Like, will the Lord?
This is a little bit different. Again, this started with Abraham, who God appeared to, made promises to, and passed down to his children. So that when they pass him down these blessings, really it's from the Lord already.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just a little different in that aspect.
So those were just for the ones that the promise, like the link of those promises, or can other nations who are not part of the promise covenant be
Receive of the
or,
same
or
promise.
still like I mean, yeah, like
Is that what you were gonna ask?
Esau, his blessing was he's doing the fatness and the dew of the earth right now. So right now they live it up. That was part of their blessing that they got from his father, right? So I'm saying right now, do I have that same power?
I wouldn't say so just because again, because God told
Not in the
Abraham.
same context like me, like I'm gonna bless and have a
I
nation.
got
So I'm saying,
Well, you know,
in smaller terms, like your son, I'm gonna bless you when you go out and you go do your thing. You're gonna do well.
That's up to the Lord if He honored, as
And-
you say, and really.
So was it written in the word their blessings for us to like because they made the cut and so it was just written down, or is just like that across the board?
Well, again, we a lot of this history we going through is to understand, how we get to where we at now. You know what I'm saying? With the children of Israel having the oracles of God, and like where does this even start at? So yeah, we understand that part of the promise was the land, and that's part of what He telling is, Abraham never received the land, but He said that your children are going to possess the gates of their enemies. So this is part of the blessing God gave to them. I'm gonna make you a father of many nations. They're gonna possess the gates of their enemies. And then let me see this mic. Yeah, that's and I was about to comment on it and I forgot. But nah, that's cool. It's,
What y'all snickering about back there? I hear you the ringleader. I heard you.
No.
I'm gonna come for you later.
No, you said you want to take over Haiti.
The reason why I thought about that is like, okay, I talk to Haitians. Haitians see Haiti as a nation. They don't, so it's hard to be like, no, listen, you're an Israelite, blah, blah, like to go deeper past, like, so they're like, no, we were a nation, this, that. So now I'm like,
What nation though?
can that be a new, like, if they wasn't, they came over there. So
Well,
like,
again-
what's the line between, okay, that's not a nation. Then I thought about the Bible.
That's that would come from the 12
remember
tribes.
what we had read in Genesis 10. We read that when we was reading the sons of Japheth, it said, by these were the Gentiles divided, everyone after his tongue, in their land. It said after their lands, and it said in their nation. It said in their nations.
Right.
So it's saying that that's a boundary of land. It's America. It is a nation. But does my nationality have to be American? So you're looking at it like the same thing, right? They're looking at Haiti like a nation, but like where do you come from before that? You know what I'm saying? Like were you the indigenous people? Were you the native people that have been here for however so long?
Right.
Or did you come from somewhere else? So yeah, they we live in America. Like, does that mean that my history started here? No. So I mean, it's that simple. Whether the word is being applied dealing with the land, or you're dealing with the person's culture or nationality, there's a difference, what I'm saying, between the two. So it might be good to specify, like, yeah, well, this is a nation, but where did you come from before that? How far back do you, does your family go? How long y'all been here? But, nations, again, let's go over to Revelation. Let's go, let's see.
But how would he make Moses another nation though? That's just not.
His kids.
Yeah.
Oh, Moses' kids.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because he already took care
Keep
of
having
that.
kids.
He already took care of the other problem. Now he just got to have some of the descendants of Isaac
okay.
or Jacob, still be around. That's all he got to have. Have him still be around.
Okay.
So it wasn't really about.
He already brought other nations out of him. He said, "Father of many nations," and we just read about a bunch of children
Yeah, that was-
Abraham had that we don't even really know about or focus on in class. They some of the other nations.
That's true.
But as far as Israel, the covenant
I
was
mean,
passed
at that
down.
point, like that reference point that I used, meaning it was only to fulfill the promise. Like you have, that's why I said, "Come, let me make you a new nation." So I can't use that for like someone like, "Oh, new nations is just being built out."
Nah.
Because it was already,
Okay.
yeah, it was
So
already.
that's
Nah.
Okay.
I got so only nation. I could kind of read about one. Here at Revelation 9, I think. You know, we know that pretty much Rome collapsed, fell. History gonna tell you that they don't exist. You know, 5 whatever AD. So this is the only one I could read about kind of coming back. But now, if you're using the word nation as just a word, we know the Lord going to re-allot, you know, the land. When you get here, you're going to divide the boundaries and stuff like that. So if you want to call those nations, you know, I don't know what he's going to do with the other people, but he's going to have it all set up so that everybody has their own inheritance. So it might be new nations in that sense when the Lord come and divvy up the land. But this ain't it either. Yeah. 11. It's actually Revelation 11 and pick it up at verse 7.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And their death.
So now it's talking about a nation coming out of obscurity, who the world thinks has been, you know, collapsed for going on a couple thousand years, but the Lord gonna bring them back out of what he calls the bottomless pit. We know that they still rule by religion. We know this is dealing with Rome, right? So we see they got more, you know, Catholic followers and so they got probably close to a couple billion Catholic followers. They got churches all over, but you know, they're in obscurity. History gonna tell you they don't exist anymore. But we know they're gonna come back and pretty much rule the world for a brief period of time before the Lord returns. So this is the only nation I see it talking about in the future. It really is an old one. But yeah, outside of the Lord coming and splitting things up, everybody going back home, which we can't read in like Isaiah, you know, how everybody gonna go back to their land. I don't see anything new outside of that.
No, right? Where would that new nation go?
Yeah.
Where would that new
I mean,
nation?
he
No,
said
I'm just thinking, like, as he said that, where would that new nation go if they, you know?
That's no. I just was going to say this. When he said new nation, or when it says that when God told Moses to make him a new nation, that sounds like just righteous people that gotta all be righteous, and that's what it could.
Well, you know, again, the Lord always gave man choice since the garden.
Right.
So he ain't never make us like Brother Ira would say all
Like
time.
robots.
But you know, he did wipe out everybody, and you know, we see gradually the evil. You know, it finds its way back in there.
Right.
He's taking away nations.
Yeah.
Like, that's what
Right.
Gomorrah destroyed them. They're no longer a nation, so they're not.
So then
he just, you know what? It's like these people, like you know, the Canaanites. I take them out. They're I don't know. I don't know if I read somewhere. They're no more. Or the regular Egyptians.
In Jeremiah 44,
They just mingle around
46,
everybody
they
else.
was still
So
talking
that's
about
what I'm saying.
Egypt was still.
All right, boom. So we have like or Iraq, right? So you know, or Iran, right, which was what Assyria, like in the prophet, and Nebuchadnezzar the dreams, and he said that you know Iran,
Syrian.
Iran, which one was it? Yeah.
But go ahead. Iran means land of the Aryans. That's the means.
So boom, they no longer are in power no more. They crush another civilization. Are they still that same nation, even though they're like now?
Let's
Like
see, man. I
Egypt.
think you think
Can we say Egypt is still
So
that's
again,
the land.
now you can specify because God know who the people are.
That's what I'm saying.
But the land itself, if you saying calling that the nation, hey, boundaries might change. It's gonna have
No, I'm
different
not talking about the land.
different people, different nationalities may rule it at different times.
So what I'm saying, will they? Okay, so
Let's-
they still exist, meaning like even if there's the real ones, like meaning us, like we're scattered.
Yeah.
But let's say there is real Egyptians.
There is,
like,
there is.
Like we got destroyed as a nation, but we still exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for them too. It's-
Yeah,
The
let's-
Egyptians got destroyed.
Let's go over to
They still
Amos.
around.
They supposed to be getting their land back.
Okay.
Let's go to Amos. What is it? 9.
I think Jeremiah got Yeah.
All right, let's stop off in Jeremiah. Amos 9. That reminds me. I have to find a way to have y'all watch this video, incorporate it into the class, because the power of subliminal messages. Y'all will be surprised. But Amos 9, and pick it up at verse 7. We're going to see that the Lord, He knows who the people are, the nations, the boundaries of the land masses might change. Different people might end up living in them. But the Lord knows who everybody is, where they come from. But Amos 9, and pick it up at 7.
Are ye not as the children of Ethiopia, as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord?
Why is that?
Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt?
Okay, so he said he brought Israel up out of the land of Egypt. Israel they weren't even a nation when they were in Egypt, but they weren't Egyptians, right? So again, is it the land, or is it your history that really points at who you are? But he said, hey, are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? And he says, because he did the same thing with us that he did with them. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor? And he did it with some other people. The Syrians brought them up out of Ker. Go ahead.
Behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, save the Lord.
Okay, so he said, hey, he's watching the children of Israel. But now let's go over. We're going to see that, hey, God really, he got possession. He got plans in store for everybody's land. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 2, because we know he made promise to Abram, the land, and he might not have did that with no other nation, but that don't mean he don't have plans for where they land is going to be at. And we can see that clearly right here, Deuteronomy 2. And pick it up at verse 1. And then we'll skip. So we saw, hey, the Lord, he said he brought us out of Egypt the same way he brought the Ethiopians out of Caphtor and the Syrians out of Ker. So we see he operate with other nations also, even if they don't have his word, right? Because like we read in the lesson, he was going to make Israel jealous, provoke them to jealousy with a foolish nation. So in order to do that, what do you got to do? You got to bless some other nation, right?
True.
So you deal with other nations. But Deuteronomy 2 and 1.
Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spake unto me, and we compassed Mount Seir many days.
Skip down to verse 4 and go ahead.
And command thou the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau.
Okay, so now this is what God is having Moses to tell the children of Israel. He said, and command thou the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau. Now again, it's another nation, right? But it's really our brother. We had the same parents, Jacob and Esau. But go ahead. He said, you are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which what?
Which dwell in Seir.
Okay, so now that's where they dwell at now while we reading this. Go ahead.
And they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them, for I will not give you of their land. No, not so much as a foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession.
Oh, so God said not to mess with them about their land because he has given it, Mount Seir, unto Esau for a possession. Go ahead.
Ye shall buy meat of them for money, that ye may.
Skip down to verse 8.
And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath, and from Eziongeber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab.
All right, so now notice now, because, you know, kind of recounting everything that happened on this journey. So when they passed by the children of Esau, their brethren, and they passed by the way of the wilderness going to Moab, what happened?
And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites.
So he said, distress not the Moabites. Go ahead.
Neither contend with them in battle. For I will not give thee of their land for a possession.
Same thing he told them about Esau's land. Why is that?
Because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession.
Oh, so now he's showing how he's dealing with these other nations. Got lands that he has given for their possession. Even telling Israel, don't meddle with them while you're passing through. I have given them this land. But now let's see, because hey, they live there in Ar now. But let's see, because is it the nation or is it where these people are from that distinguishes who they are? Keep reading.
The Emims dwelt therein time past.
So he said, hey, some other people used to live there where Lot's people at now. He said the Emims dwelt there in times past. Go ahead.
And a people great and many and tall as the Anakins, which also were accounted giants as the Anakins, but the Moabites called them Emim.
So see, the people been around for some time, but now they might be, you know, new residents of the land, because we see that these people used to live there. The Moabites moved in and kind of kicked them out, and he gonna go through and show other examples where the same thing happened. Go ahead.
The Horims also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them.
So he said these Horims used to dwell in Seir, but the children of Esau succeeded them, and what?
When they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their stead, as Israel did unto the land of his possession.
So y'all see this part right here? So he said the Horims dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they destroyed them from before them and dwelt in their stead. They dwelt in their place, just like Israel did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto them. So again, depending how you're using the word, if you're looking at the nation, the land mass,
Right.
cool. But now are the people there the natives or not? Because the Lord, like, I do this all over. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right. What else? Y'all looking like y'all.
You know, I'm trying to formulate something.
Okay.
It's not a question, but it's something bubbling in my head.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll take the time. 5, 10. You see the chest.
Yeah, I was about to. I
Okay.
had a question that just came to my mind now. This relates to what it says in Genesis about where it says, I believe it's in the second chapter. Let me just see. So, let me see, Genesis second chapter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Genesis 2:18, it says, and the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. Okay, so, the helpmeet was made. So my question is basically, is there anywhere in the Bible where it says that some men may not have a helpmeet?
It sounds like, by the way you asking, you already know.
Well, I don't know.
You gotta ask.
Not sure. I'm just.
Because it's worded so closely to how you put it. I'm like, Brother Peter.
Wait,
got
Deuteronomy
the
what?
What was the question?
well, because we just read what God said it's not good that the man should be alone.
That's
and then he was going to create a help meet for him.
Genesis 2:7.
Was there anywhere else in the scripture where it talks about some men not having a help? So yeah, definitely.
Doesn't it say that you serve God better if you're alone?
Yeah.
Paul said that.
but that's what
Uh,
Apostle
yeah,
Paul
that's one
said.
thing.
Paul said that, yeah.
But even Christ talks about it. And
It's a
I'd
hard
probably
saying,
start there.
Mhm.
I think Matthew
Hard
try
saying.
19.
Trying to do that, man.
Huh?
It's a hard saying. I was like, yeah. But man, to be alone, he said that's not
Be a
good.
eunuch?
So,
Good for a reason.
it's not good, bro.
Fall into temptation.
It's not good for the head to be alone. It's a hard life.
I'm going to.
Matthew chapter 19. Yeah. You can always tell in the wintertime when the Sabbath be over early, because it'd be like 5 o'clock and start,
Ghost town.
you know what I'm saying? They start joking and everything. Keeping it. I know it's dark, y'all. But nah, it says exactly what you said, though, bro. We're gonna pick this up at verse 1, Matthew 19, and 1 through. We read 1 through.
It's gonna be
12.
balling, bro. Whole body Philistine. Oh.
All right.
And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitude followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
All right, so we know they're dealing with the question of divorce. Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason, in other words? Go ahead.
And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
All right, so this is where we were just reading from, even though it's a different verse. We just was in Genesis 2 and 18, where you formed the help meet for Adam. So go ahead. Because now again, he's dealing with divorce, but we're gonna see he's gonna answer exactly what you are asking. Go ahead.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
Go ahead.
They say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
Okay, because again, now they getting this is something that's written in the law, like in Deuteronomy 24. But God allowed Moses to do this, and they always was tempting Christ with the law, trying to find any type of discrepancy. So what verse was that?
7.
So they said unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? Go ahead.
He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so.
All right, so Moses allowed y'all to divorce your wives. But again, he just quoted something from Genesis. And he said, hey, that's how man was created. From the beginning, it was not so. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery. His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry.
All right, so now they on the kind of the end of the question you asking about. They say if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. What he say?
But he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying.
Oh, all right. So it's just what you was asking. So he said all men cannot receive this saying. Go ahead.
Save they to whom it is given. For there are some eunuchs.
So this eunuchs,
which were so born from their mother's womb. And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
Okay, so again, Christ said that, all men can't receive this saying. And he even gives some reasons why, that may be the case. Some men might have been born eunuchs, he said, from their mother's womb, or made eunuchs of men, or may have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. But this is another one. I don't know if it's where Sister quoted, but they say the same things. So, where is it? 7? Yeah. This is there. All right, let me see. What verse? That's about the same. All right, let's go over to the Corinthians one. 1 Corinthians 7. First Corinthians 7 and shoot. I guess we'll pick it up at 1. Let's go around. Yeah.
Now concerning the
Here, 1 Corinthians 7. 1 Corinthians 7 and 1. Go ahead.
Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
Okay, so that's the bigger problem, avoiding fornication. So he said, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and what?
And let every woman have her own husband.
Uh-huh.
Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
Go ahead.
The wife have not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband have not power of his own body, but the wife.
The married brothers always read that real slow. I've noticed over the years. So pretty much, again, this is what it's about, though. We're not, you're not trying to give Satan no way in. So go ahead, verse 5.
Defraud ye not one another, one the other, except it be with consent for a time.
Okay, so that's what he mean by render, do benevolence. You can't always have a headache. Yeah, be available. Well put. So he said, defraud ye not the other, except it be with consent for a time. Go ahead.
That ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again. That saying tempt you not for your inconsistency. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as myself, but every man have his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that.
Okay, so now again, this Paul, he was a eunuch, right? So he said, but I would, or I wish that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that. Go ahead.
I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn.
Okay, so he say it's good if they abide as Paul abide, but he said if they cannot contain. So again, everybody ain't the same. He said that all men can't receive that saying in the other place. We just read in Matthew 19. But let's skip over to where'd you end it?
9.
Go ahead.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. let not the wife depart from her husband.
Mhm.
But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife.
Okay, so again, same thing Christ said. You know, he said, hey, Moses suffered y'all to do that, but he said, but I say from the beginning it wasn't so, and whosoever put away his wife, or, you know, if he put her away, he causing her to commit adultery, and whoever married her, and he committing fornication. Or what did he say? Except it be for the cause of fornication, he commit adultery, and he caused her to commit adultery. So let's skip over to verse 28, 26.
I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loose. Art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife.
Go ahead.
But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you.
All right, but you know it's trouble in the flesh either way, right? So that's why you're asking the question. That's why the Lord said that in the beginning. You know, it's not good that the man should be alone. So he said, but nevertheless shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. Go ahead.
But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not.
So he basically just like time is so short, you know, it's like it ain't gonna matter anyway. Soon. But go ahead.
And they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not.
Sit down to what verse is this? Okay, that's 30. Go ahead. Oh yeah, I was gonna say 32, but right there.
And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord.
So that's one advantage is, you know, you got time to focus on the Lord and possibly, you know, get a greater reward. But it's like he started this off saying at verse 9, if somebody can't contain, let him marry, because it's better to marry than to burn. But he said, what verse did you end at? All right, go ahead.
33. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction.
Go ahead. Might as well finish this out.
But if any man think that he haveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but have power over his own will, and have so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well.
Go ahead.
But he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God.
Okay, so same thing Christ said. You know, he just went in depth a little more. But
that last part.
yeah. Again, you know, it's not for everybody, but there is scripture that show that, you know, if you can handle that, then you know it's a good thing. But you know what you went for, Because you know, like you said, you got trouble in the flesh. So it's trouble, I think, in the flesh either way, because the flesh just trying to get us cut off.
Trying to kill the
Right,
baby.
yeah.
It's right. Before I was even in the world, it was trouble in the flesh. So. But hopefully that answered that. You got anything
Yeah,
online,
answered
bro?
Nothing.
I got a question
Brother
along the
Glenn said
line
he had
with
a
you,
question.
Rita.
Okay.
Where it says that young virgin, like, how old, like, because it doesn't seem like that girl is young, no?
Well, it
When
only
she
said
when she
young.
passed her flower.
It seemed like she real young.
Yeah, like,
That's what it
what
sounds
you
like.
mean by that?
Yeah, let me see. What you got? 37?
36.
Okay. Let's
Yeah,
read
it
that.
sounds like
She
she's
said-
young.
She said that,
A young maid.
no, when they say flower, that means menstrual.
Yeah.
Menstrual, yeah.
I know, but
Period.
he's saying like if
Period.
If
he
she
has a
passed the
virgin
age.
and she's past that age.
Oh, not past the age. Let's see.
I don't know. That's why I was like, I got a question.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's
it looks
good.
31,
I didn't-
21.
It says youth, though. 36.
No,
Yeah,
First
I
one
mean,
is 7.
unless they get older and they still virgins.
Right here, it says youth here.
Started at
It
34.
says
Let's just read down into it.
improperly or virgin daughter. Youth. Flower for youth.
So, verse 34.
34. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of
All
the
right, y'all
Lord.
settle down. We almost out here.
34. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction.
Go ahead.
But if any man think he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, and she passeth the flower of her age, and need so require.
So, I'm sorry, but it seemed to me like he's saying, you know, by not having children with her or something, like if it said, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she passed the flower of his age. So if he think that it's like, you know, behaving some type of way towards her, if he let her pass, because it say pass the flower of her age, so she get too old to bear children.
Oh, okay.
Then he's saying, if you think that that's going to be a problem, you know, now you feel like, you know, you acting uncomely towards her or whatever, then, you know, let them marry, let them, that's all it's saying.
Why would you let them? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Say
because she
again.
passed the flower of the age. And
No, he's saying if it's going to, like, read it again, 36, he say, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she passed
Like
the
not
flower
good.
of her age.
Commonly, not
I
good.
think it's saying like if she getting close to it, basically like she getting older and, you know,
Okay, like Sarah
think
and
it's-
Abraham type situation.
say
The
again.
age, like Sarah.
Yeah. That's what definitely flower is.
So let's just say I'm behaving uncomely. What does that mean?
Say like you know, you like, well, you know,
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be a virgin for the Lord,
You don't
so
wanna- okay.
you know, so like, you know, you can't, you know what I mean, we can't have no kids or something. I don't know. I'm gonna ask for clarity, but I'm almost sure.
Because commonly is
Because-
pleasing in appearance, attractive or
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, but
You read it,
uncomely.
it sounded different to me. That's why I was
Uncomely.
like,
He's saying like behaving like badly towards her. Yeah, comely is like
Out of your
beautiful,
character.
but in this text, it's like like you treating her bad, basically. If you feel like you treating her bad, if she going past the flower of her age, then let her marry.
That's great.
Y'all get it?
Nah.
it ain't that important.
Yeah.
I'm married.
You know, got 4
She's not there. She's not
Got
there
4
yet.
kids
Yeah,
straight.
so I guess.
No, not yet. Not in
I think I'm gonna be like that towards her.
Yeah.
It said what just married.
So it's saying that if you feel like, you know, it's treating her badly or whatever, if you think you behaving uncomely towards her by letting her pass the flower of her age without having children, then just go ahead and have kids. Just go ahead and marry.
So uncomely, if I think that
Uncomely, like you're
Uncomely.
behaving like, you know, or rudely towards you. I don't know.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
think of another
Right,
word.
rudely,
Like,
right.
It's like how we said available.
You act like that's what you want.
and then you should,
You know,
but it says you might as well marry him.
you might as well, because if you lay with her, you got to.
You're gonna come back with the
That's-
answer
you
next
act like
week.
that's what-
I won't be here next
Oh, well,
week.
You act
a week
very-
after, whenever you.
But it's saying basically if you feel like it's like you, yeah, I know. I had to find
But I got it.
the synonyms.
It sounded like a negative, like yo, if you acting like you know then you don't follow her, and she's cast a flower.
Nah,
and
she didn't get there
yet.
yet. She didn't get there yet in the scripture. But it's like if you think it's if you feel like you acting uncomely towards her, say I'm serving God, right? But you know, I'm talking to a young lady. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been talking, she want to be serious or whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm just focused on the Lord. But like she, you know, about to be at the age where she can't have children no more, and she like, you know, want to be in a serious relationship. So like if you know, it's like I'm like neglecting her, she like, you know, then they just go ahead and have and marry.
I mean, she won't.
She not with nobody. She already with the guy, but they ain't, you know, laid together. Like they look, man. Jesus, they called Mary his Joseph's wife, right? And they hadn't laid together. So, all right. Well, let's see. There's other examples though. I mean, they were betrothed, and we don't even live in a society where they, you know, betrothing people anymore. So good luck with that one. but yeah, that's what it means though. You know, if it's getting close, and because she is, what did it call her? His virgin. They say if she passed the flower of age, let them marry. Let me see. Because in one C&E scriptures like 37 and 38, it seemed like it's coming from the father's perspective. Because it says, so then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, you know, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. That seemed like it's coming from the father's perspective, because he the one that, you know, the man would have to go to pay the dowry anyway.
Was
And then-
Paul still speaking here? On his own, or was he speaking
He
from
said,
the commandment?
He said, in this I speak for your own profit.
No, even way before
Yeah, I
that.
know.
He says like,
Yeah. I don't think he ever went back to saying.
yeah, he didn't say that he was going back to speaking and
He said at
from the
verse,
Lord.
at verse 10, and unto the unmarried I command, yet not I, but the Lord. I don't think he ever go back to.
Yeah, I'll go over it again. I don't remember seeing that he went back.
Oh nah, verse 12.
Verse 12.
Yeah, he said, but to the rest, speak I, not the Lord. But what else?
So all what he said from 12 down was him speaking and not the Lord.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I ain't read through that.
But keep in mind, Paul has the Spirit of God in him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you can't just dismiss what he said.
We can't. But I know everybody.
I heard you
kind of-
getting excited, like
Once you kind of agree, like, oh, so he said not I, and it's kind of like now you look at it a little.
Nah,
It's you know it's still you
he
know what I mean?
said,
But it's kind of like.
and I think
wait, don't
also
know,
that I
it's
have
all-
the Spirit of
all
God.
these sounding off the
So
wall, so now you gotta really, you know, like let me make sure.
All got anything else in house? Going once, going twice. All right.
stand up.
We'll stand to close out.
Nothing on live. So you good.
5:36. So.
Our Father, which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done
In earth.
in earth
As it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Forgive us our debts.
Forgive us our debts
As we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation,
But deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
Thine is the kingdom,
And the power.
and power,
And the glory.
and the glory
Forever.
forever.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name,
Amen.
amen.
No, 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 no.